you go to resources, and then you see all of your resources. So we have like the DC10 and then the PC10. So the DC10, this might be our server, and then our PC10 is here. And then the credentials will be embedded here on this part here on the resources tab. And then also instructions. This is where you're going to spend much of your time on, where you are following the instructions. So the first part is the scenario that we're given is in this lab, you will learn about several types of security controls, including preventive, detective, directive, and corrective. So you've gone through the material on the side. So now here you just like want to enforce that theory that you learned that side on the material side or on the via textbook. So here just like enforcing that, trying to understand how to implement the controls, the preventative, detective, and directive controls. So the scenario is that as a security team member of structure, Inc., you are working to improve your organization security. Remember what we said about Security Plus is that you are looking to secure the company infrastructure. So you're looking for vulnerabilities, you're going through the system to see if it's vulnerable to any of the attacks. And then if you find any of those vulnerabilities, you need to mitigate those, right? So this lab focuses on configuring, using, and testing the security controls to ensure you understand the nature of the various types of controls. So we are focusing on the different types of controls. So we want to go through the process of implementing certain controls. So it is our job role as the security administrators or cybersecurity team to make sure that this is done correctly. We implement the controls, all right? So a preventive control attempts to stop an unwanted activity from taking place. So this is one of the things that you need to know, remember for your exam. So they will ask you questions surrounding the preventive controls. What is the preventive controls? Give an example of a preventive control. Right. So we want to look at that. So it says in this exercise, you will first perform an undesirable activity. Next, you will implement a preventive control to block that activity. And finally, you will attempt the unwanted activity again to test the preventive control. So a tools folder has been configured on the DC10, which is our server. This folder is designed to hold utilities, data files that must only be accessible to domain and local administrators only. So just take note of this. So there is a folder that is designed to hold utilities, data files that must only be accessible to domain and local administrators only. So this folder must be accessed by domain and local administrators only. So anyone who's not part of this group, they are not supposed to access this folder. So users without administrative rules should be prevented from viewing the share. Verify whether the share has been configured with appropriate permissions. So we're going to go through one of the steps one of the tasks that you'll be performing as the security engineer, which is you looking for vulnerabilities. Are the permissions, are they implemented? These controls, are they implemented within the system? So let me go through that. So select PC10. So currently looks like I was on DC10. Okay, let me do Control Alt Delete. Control Alt Delete that. So I can even press Control there directly. You saw what it was doing. I was pressing Control Alt Delete on my keyboard, but it wasn't going through. So you can click this one directly there. It will open up for you. And then it says select other user. Currently, the user that is selected is Jaime. Or Jaime or some whatever how you pronounce that. That's the user that is currently selected there. So I don't want, according to the instructions here, we need to use SEM. So I can go to other users and then I want SEM. Then I can type in SEM directly there, or I can just select SEM. And then it types there for me. And then SEM's password, there's SEM's password. All right, you can see now I'm going in the system or logging in the system as SEM. All right. And then from the taskbar, select File Explorer. So where do we find File Explorer? There is your File Explorer there at the bottom. And then this is your taskbar at the bottom there. And then it says in the File Explorer address bar, enter this. So here I will select that part to enter that IP address and that path. Press enter. So you can see this is the file that we are not supposed to see if you're not part of the local administrators. Right, you should see the contents of the tools share. Okay, this is the content. You can see I'm able to open this. And then it says you should see the contents, and then Sam is not an administrator, and should not have access. But so now you see what we're trying to achieve here. We were doing our audit, and then we know that Sam is not part of the administrators, but he's able to see this. So there's a control that is not applied here. We need to apply a control that restricts Sam from accessing this. So Sam is not an administrator and should not have access. You need to implement a prevention control so that Sam and other non-administrators cannot access this. So we need to block people that are not part of the administrators from accessing this. Right now, Sam can open this. And then close File Explorer, closing that. And say select the DC10. So now I'm currently on, you can see I'm on host name, I'm currently on PC10, so I want to switch to DC10. So every time when you're told to switch to other system, check here what system you're currently on. Then DC10 there. And then on DC10, I need to press Control Alt Delete. Okay, I will click there. It says I must log in as well. Structural edit because / administrator using password. Okay, so this is an administrator account. So it has the privileges to make changes on the system. Server Manager is opening. So in Server Manager, select File and Storage Services. So where do we find that? The file storage, it should pop up directly here. Just waiting for this to finish up. Okay, there it is. File and Storage Services. So select File and Storage Services and then select Shares. Where are the shares? There are the shares there. And then I can see different shares. And then the one that we are interested in is this share, which is the tools. So this is on this server, and then it has been shared on our domain. So you saw that is it Sam? Sam was able to access this, even though he's not part of the, even Sam is not part of the administrators, of which he is not allowed to access that. Okay, let's see. So what are we required to do here? Structure and then use the password. We're already in, and then select shares. We've selected shares. Right-click Tools, Share, then select Properties. So I want to right-click that and then select Properties. Okay, and then it says Permissions. There's a Permission plus there. And say Select Permissions tab. And then click Customize Permissions. You can see now I'm going to customize the permissions. First, I selected that. Customize the permissions. Customize the permissions, all right. And then you can see these are the guys that have permissions to access this folder. So it says domain admins, local administrator, which are the guys that we really want them to access that. But we have users here that they have read and execute. So they've accessed, they can read the contents of that file, which is not allowed. Only the administrators of this company. So if it's advanced assessment, we only want administrators and local administrators, like the advanced assessment administrators, to access this file. But you can see now it ended up being accessed by other users that are not part of the administrators. So we have these users that have access to that file. So here it says which account or group object on the access control list should not have access. Should not have been assigned permissions on the same share on the share. So we know that it's users. Let me check and see if it's correct. Yeah, it looks like it's correct. There it is. So observe that the domain admins and local admin security groups have been granted permissions on the folder. Yes, they do have permission. You can see domain admins, they have like full control. Local admin, they have read. And we have system full control, and then administrators full control. But select the disable inheritance. So with this inheritance, we'll talk about inheritance later on when we're expanding on the groups, permissions, and all of that. Then it says select convert inherited permissions. So convert inherited permissions. So we have situations where other users end up like gaining access to other files because they inherited permissions. Maybe they were part of a group that has access to those specific files. All right, and then let's see from the permission entries panel, select the first user. From the permissions panel, where's our permission panel? This is our permission entries. So select the first user, that's the first user is there. And then click the remove button. So I want to remove these users from having access to that file. And then here's the name of the share, right? Which is tools, that's the folder. And then remove the remaining users object, where are these? There's user object, and then remove that. And then okay. And then select remove to remove the everyone group from the object, right? The everyone group from the object. So I want to remove that. So I have the owner, administrator, local, and then the domain. So now I have removed everyone group from the object ACL entirely. The default privilege over object in the Windows is no access. That's without that. It is important to implement explicit deny, right? And then I click select OK to close the dialogues, right? Click OK. And then now it says switch back to the PC10. We have applied those controls, right? Let me click apply. Okay. So we were on the server, we have applied those controls to, the controls were that only the administrators need to have access on this folder. We don't want just the general users having access to this. So I'm switching to PC10, click there. And then I do that. It says I must log in as Sam. Sam is still the selected user there. I need to plug in type in the password. All right, I'm in now. Let's see. Let's see there. There we go. We've selected that. Now we're going back to File Explorer. We can press Control E or Windows logo E to take you to this part. And then you go to this top part there. And then it says you don't have permissions to access this tool. So you see now, before Sam was able to access this folder. Now we have changed the permissions. We have said we have restricted the users from accessing this share. So Sam has no access to this, only the administrator. So as a security administrator, we have managed to apply which control here. So we said preventive control. So this control prevents users from accessing the shares that they're not supposed to access. All right, let's see. And then, yes, you've done that. You should see network error, and then let's click a score. So the score here is checking that you've managed to complete the previous task. So it says now no access for domain users to SMP show. So it shows us, okay, whatever you did here was correct. So if you don't see this screen showing up or the message saying task complete, it means there are certain things that you didn't do right. You can go back and check what is it that you didn't do right. Okay, so I can close that and then right click start and then select shutdown on sign out. So right click start and select shutdown. Okay. And sign out. Just waiting for the system to. Now I can start the machine. And then when I log in, I want to log in with a different account now. I want to log in as JM. So this one, I think he's part of the administrators. He should have access to that file. But Sam was not an administrator, so he wasn't able to log in. So let me do this. So you can see Sam wasn't able to access that folder. So let's see, JM, this guy is part of the administrators. So once you implement the preventative controls, you need to test and check, see if you didn't log the correct user that is supposed to access the file. Verify that you implemented the correct user. So now we want to verify that since JM is part of the administrators, I want to see if he's able to access the folder. He's part of the administrators. Let's see if he has access. So we can see anyone who's part of the administrators is able to access this file, this folder, file and folders in there, all right? So the question is, file access controls are based as preventive in terms of functionality. What category of security control are file permissions? So file permissions for your Security Plus exam, you need to remember this, that all these file permissions are part of them. Let me see if I still remember this. Is it a technical control? This looks like a technical control. Let me check that. You can see, yes, it's part of a technical control. So the file permissions, you'll see this in the exam. Then you can do this to confirm that you have completed the entire task. So this was the as configuring a test preventive control. So we applied the preventive control. All right. So it worked. I want to pause this. Let me just do this.